stupid time clock. Just stay there. God.
Hey, Shannon. I've just come back from the New You clinic. I've made myself look like that old man we found outside of town. What are you doing?
Oh, my time clock keeps falling off.
Oh, well that means you can live past 30. Wouldn't that be fun?
Not if it means I could look like you.
Oh! Hello, welcome to Random Movie Time. Today's feature is the 1976 sci-fi movie Logan's Run, directed by Michael Anderson and starring Michael York, Jenny Agutter, and Peter Ustinov. This tells the tale of a futuristic society where all human needs are taken care of by robots and machines. The only caveat being that due to extreme population control measures, you're not allowed to live past your 30th birthday. And Michael York plays a special kind of policeman called a sandman, who's tasked with tracking down a criminal element who call themselves runners, who want to live past 30 for some reason, and he's got to terminate them. And he's tasked with infiltrating their group and meets a young woman from the runners, played by Jenny Agutter. Well, Shannon, what did you think of this movie?
Well, I gotta say, I've seen this movie many, many times, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time. That being said, I know it's not perfect, but I love it, and there's lots of elements in this film that are just really amazing. One thing that sticks out to me in Logan's Run that sets it apart from a lot of sci-fi of the time is that its colorful palette. When you're in the city, it's very colorful, it's very bright. Everybody has very bright, cheerful clothes, and when later on, when they do escape the city, of course, then it becomes a little more dystopian, kind of, a little dirty and dark. But for the most part, the first part of the film is very bright, and that's in contrast to a lot of sci-fi of the time. Like a lot of sci-fi is either has a neutral color palette or kind of an earth tone, dark side to it. So I'm thinking of things like Star Trek the Motion Picture, Space 1999. You'll notice they have very neutral colors and kind of bright lights. Or Blake's 7, or which has kind of a more dark side to it, but there's still a lot of earth tones there as well. So that's one thing that's really unique and caught my eye as a young person seeing that movie for the first time. Another thing I love about it is that I feel like there are a lot of parallels to Brave New World there. I'm not sure if it was the Logan's Run novel was influenced by Brave New World, but there are a lot of interesting similarities, and Brave New World is one of my favorite sci-fi novels of all time as well, such as test tube babies, people who are bred just to enjoy life and enjoy just not questioning anything, just being happy with their station in life. And of course, in Brave New World, they're a lot more classist, but there are a lot of similarities there. And of course, the soundtrack is great. I love the soundtrack. This was done by Jerry Goldsmith, and it's it's very kind of early synthesizer, but it fits very, very well. But there's some orchestral music in there too, and so the music is really well done and really well composed and chosen for the particular scenes or moods of the film. And Peter Ustinov, who appears later in the film, is a joy. He is so great in this film. And Jenny Agutter and Michael York as well. Jenny Agutter does a great job. She's incredible. I have to tell you some of my favorite quotes from this movie. Some of my favorite quotes. I hate outside. My fish!
Day. Fish and plankton, sea greens and protein from the sea.
That must be the look of being old.
I mean, it's a youth culture to the umpteenth level. I mean, the Sandmen really get a kick out of teasing these runners. They don't just freaking kill them, shoot them right away, or take them in to get questions. They chase them around, and they give them warning shots constantly, just to tease them and laugh at them. I mean, these are not mature people. They live until they're 30, and then they possibly get a chance of redemption in Carousel. But I mean, yeah, it portrays that very, very well. The attitudes, the consumption, the just being there for happy. You can change your face if you don't like the way you look. One day you can just be like, oh, well, I think I'll change my whole face today. I don't feel like looking like this anymore. It doesn't matter, because you're not going to live for very long. And these little babies are born with time clocks on their hands. I'm not sure how that happens. I guess they kind of genetically develop them that way. Because since they're all test tube babies, mother is almost... it's not like a dirty word like it is in Brave New World, but it's strange to them. Mother, when they meet Peter Ustinov, they're like, oh, you knew who your mother and father were? It's strange because they don't have mothers and fathers. They're all clones. I mean, it's what, Jenny 5? Or is it Logan 5? It's Logan 5 and Jenny 6, right? So, I mean, that's the next generation of that iteration, right? So, I just love it. What can I say? I love it. It's hard to be objective about this movie for me. I can see one flaw, though, I will admit, is that it is a bit too long. They could have cut it down a bit at the end, I think, when they get outside and they're trying to find sanctuary, which is sanctuary is the underground's, what they believe to be the underground's kind of safe place for people who want to live beyond the age of 30. So when they're searching for sanctuary on the outside, it was great because you did see them kind of being in this new world and just learning and totally not and trying to comprehend it, but I think that part could have been a bit slower. That being said, I think that they really did an excellent job of world building in this film. And that's what I have to say in the meantime about this film. Tommy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's an absolute classic. It's one of those movies that I've been watching forever on TV. It always plays once in a while, and then we got the Blu-ray too eventually. I like what you were saying about the realized world. I was trying to think, what is its staying power as a movie? Why do I keep coming back to it? And I think that's why, because it's such a fully realized society that they show, and it feels very well thought out. It feels very real. It feels scary too. Humans' tastes and values have been warped by this computer. They're almost forced into this way of thinking, you know, where they're just consumerist and they're actually happy to die when they're 30, or they're supposed to be anyway. The visuals are very, very striking. I thought, as much as this movie can sometimes look cheesy 1970s, it also has a sort of timeless look as well. Like, I thought that the Sandmen, you know, like their uniforms, their guns and everything, those look maybe a little bit ahead of their time, actually.
Yeah.
And it's one of those movies that it gets parodied just as much as it gets revered, but that's kind of the sign of a good movie usually. Like a classic, like Wizard of Oz, there's like a million parodies of Wizard of Oz, but it's because people really like the movie, and I think that's the same thing that's going on when you see people making fun of Logan's Run. It's actually a really enjoyable movie. The actors are great. Michael York is always great in everything. Jenny Agutter, I haven't seen her in too many things. She was also in Game of Thrones. She was in the Nicholas Roeg movie Walkabout. And she's really good.
And she was in Call the Midwife.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, she was great in that.
Was she in Game of Thrones? Maybe I'm thinking of
No,
something
I
else.
don't think she was in Game of Thrones.
I think I was mixing her up with Diana Rigg.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's where I saw her in Call the Midwife, yeah. And Peter Ustinov, interesting character, you know. They sure got a unique character actor to to play this old man, you know. I thought he did a really good job. He's quoting T.S. Eliot, and he's surrounded by cats and everything. If there's any negatives to the movie, I'd say maybe the future technology seemed a little bit uneven. Like, they have transporters, like Jenny gets transported at one point into Logan's room because she has put herself on the circuit, which means, you know, she's looking for love, and so he dials her up and she just materializes in his room. And then, but later they're using these little bubble car monorail things to get around the city, and I was like, well, if they've got transporters, why are they using these funny little relatively slow bubble car things? Also, I thought it was weird that people had different accents. Like, it's a big city, but it's not an enormous city. Like, Logan talks about it as having many thousands of people, but not millions. And I don't think that city was big enough for there to be regional accents, you know. Like, it was an American city. It's somewhere in Maryland, obviously, because they're in walking distance from the capital. And somebody built this society, you know, full of probably Americans, and then it ended up that some people have a different accent. I thought that was kind of weird. It didn't really make sense. But I'm still glad that Michael York and Jenny Agutter are in it, because they're such great actors, and that's just a very minor nitpick about it. But yeah, classic all the way. I think this influenced a lot of movies going forward. It was sort of the biggest sci-fi movie in the 70s, before Star Wars and after Planet of the Apes, you know. There's some other things, you know, Rollerball, Omega Man, but I think that this was kind of like the big one until Star Wars came out, and it sort of set the bar. And I love the music, as you were saying, and the miniature effects and everything.
I love the model.
Yeah.
The model of the city is so cool.
It's really cool. I mean, in one way, it's obviously a model, but in another way, you just appreciate, you know, how detailed it is, and, you know, what they were trying to go for.
And the filming location for when they get outside of the city,
Right.
it's in Texas. Isn't it? It's that.
Yes, the water park.
The water park. I
Yeah.
can't remember what it's called, but it's
Fort Worth, I believe. The Fort Worth
Water Park. It's
Park. Yeah,
it's amazing. It suits it so well.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just incredible. Really great location.
a lot of the interiors too were done like in shopping malls in Texas.
Yeah.
So futuristic 70s buildings made sense, you know, at the time. Well, What else can we say about Logan's Run? Absolute classic. How many life clocks out of 5 would you give this one?
Well, I'm going to try to be objective here, and I will give it 4 out of 5 life clocks. I mean, if it was just me being nostalgic and as a big fan, I would give it 5. But I do see that there are a couple of flaws. I feel like it runs a bit long, and like you say, like the model does look a bit cheap, even though I love it. So I mean, I think it's a really great commentary on society, and I think it's very, very well written. They build the world, they really flesh it out, and the acting is really great. So I'll give it 4 out of 5 life clocks. What do you say, Tommy? How many do you give it?
I'll give it 4.5. I think that, it's pretty good. Maybe just shy of being an all-time absolute top-tier classic. Just, a few little flaws. But it is a movie that you come back to again and again, and you always enjoy watching it. So, 4.5 for me.
Right on.
All right. I think I hear a Sandman squad approaching on their hover bikes, so maybe we'd best skedaddle. But we'll see you next time on Random Movie Time.